everyone, welcome back to ESRL. Just getting everyone sorted in the lobby. Vamos Vetsku, we already have Vetsku fans in the chat. They've been in the chat a lot this season. It's good to see. Vetsku has a lot of support. Hope he has a good race today. He's had a really good season. He is sitting P4 in the standings, with Mar10 6 points behind him. He's a long way off the top 3, but still, what a great season for Vetsku. Hasn't even had a podium, not one podium, but he's just been so consistent every week, always finishing well, so good stuff. I was just talking and I'm muted. Oh well. Hello Rick. Welcome to the chat. I did save a clip, by the way. I don't know if it got that particular Monaco race, but I'll find out after this. Poor Aces. Aces is hosting this lobby, but just, everyone's harassing him about the lobby settings. We'll be ready to go pretty soon, I'm sure. Next few minutes. Oh, Woomax man, never change. Hello Zach, another Vetsku fan. It's good to see all the Vetsku fans in chat. Hello Zach, welcome back to the stream. I'm assuming I'm assuming that you're gonna have to shoot off quite early on, but it is good to see you nonetheless. I hope you're doing alright. It is Easter weekend, and we are going racing. Here in Japan, we're about to get started. 2 races to go in this season. 4 points is the gap between the top 2 in the championship. We have seen so many championships come undone at Japan. At least I have. I have seen so many. This track, for some reason, a lot of leagues put it towards the ends of seasons, and it always seems to be the track where everything goes down. So we'll see if that happens again. If Red Bull win the Constructors within 13 points, you'd like full credit. I think it will... Well, actually, no, Martin is not here again. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. And Myra isn't here either. Neither Red Bull is here. So what is the Constructors gap, actually? Let's have a look. Constructors standings. Red Bull lead by 36 points. So that could well come down all the way down today. Aston Martin are P2, 36 points behind. Red Bull also scored 0. Actually, no, it's more than that. Scott hasn't updated the standings. Yes, he has. I just clicked on the wrong one. Okay. 39 points. There we go. 39 points to Alpine in second. So we'll see if both Alpines are here today. Rain in race, says Lifebout. Yeah, no Myra, unfortunately. Only one Finnish driver on the grid today. Full wet at the start of the race. Oh boy. Japan is about to put forward another absolute classic, it seems. But don't forget, we're starting with one-shot quali because we are in a sprint race today. Wet to Inter to dry. Oh boy. Well, last time we were at Inter's all race in Monza last week, and NER Ayrton crashed out from the lead on the intermediate tyres. So we'll see if he can get a little bit more on his pace with the wet tyres today. We're going to ride on board with, let's see, who are we going to ride on board with? Deneuve, that's who. Our second place man in the championship. 4 points behind NER Ayrton. Let's enable all of this stuff. There we go. So Deneuve through turn 1 and this very tricky S section. You can get on some of the curbs but not others. A little bit wide there from Deneuve, and in fact Lifebout and him and Vetsku all swapping positions at the top. NER Ayrton down in 10th right now in this one-shot quali session. Lifebout is pole through sector 1. Deneuve is right behind him though as they come through these two corners. I cannot quite remember the names of them. I know they're both something 1 and something 2. Vetsku now on pole position as Deneuve comes through the hairpin and down towards Spoon. This long right-hander, which is basically just a straight. Deneuve all the way down towards Spoon. Can he get it right? It looks like he can. A little bit wide though on exit, and Vetsku keeps pole. Yes, Degner, that's it. Yes, it is one shot because we have a sprint race. Don't forget, it's one shot, then a sprint, then a full race. As Deneuve comes round the final corner, down towards the final corner through 130R. And can he nail the final chicane? Ayrton's back up the grid, but Deneuve better than Vetsku through the final chicane. Deneuve's going to take pole position for the sprint. Ayrton, his championship rival, P3. Vetsku on the front row. What a lap from him. Lifebout in P4, just behind NER Ayrton, the championship leader. Denis Ivanov, P5. He has yet to finish a race this season. Can he do it today? I don't know. We're going to find out. Short Marcus in P5. Avi took a while to finish, but he did manage to do it. Rick isn't racing, that is true, he is not. Unfortunately. I'm afraid you can't laugh at him, Zach. But like I said, Deneuve did exactly what he needed to do. What an exit he got out the final corner. Pole position for him for the sprint. Can he convert it into some much needed points? Vetsku on the front row. What a fantastic effort from the Finn, with NER Ayrton, the championship leader, in P3, and Lifebout joining him on the second row. Denis Ivanov and Short Marcus make up the third row. Marcus will be disappointed with that. Trugster and Rumax fourth row. DTS Ayrton and Aces fifth row. Rills in P11. Speed in P12. He really mucked up his lap, but not as much as Avi in P13. And Sinful could not finish his lap. Oh boy, we are in for some race here. Ayrton in P3, Deneuve P1, Vetsku in between, the hero of the chat. Couple distinct championship finales where Ayrton was involved in F1's history. Indeed there were, at this very track. As we get ready for the sprint. It looks like a dry sprint race at least, but if Lifebout is to be believed, it will be wet to start the full feature race. So here we go. As all the drivers get their setups on, decide the tyre they're going to go on. I wonder if it's going to be softs or mediums for the sprint. I would wager mediums, but we will see. Trivia time. Oh dear. I don't have a good enough memory for trivia time. Lobby updated during during the countdown timer is usually not a good sign. How many cards did you hold back on your Tier 1 race win at this track in Season 7? Oh boy. I want to say 4, maybe 5. But it is the Alpine of Donev leading from pole on this formation lap. And then the Williams, and it's a Williams Aston Martin crisscross. Vetsku in the Williams, then Ayrton Aston Martin, and then Lifebout in the Williams, and Dennis in the Aston Martin. Aston Martin with a great chance here to get themselves in the fight for the Constructors' Championship. They're 40-odd points behind Red Bull, but obviously no drivers on the grid for Red Bull today. Wills and Speed have already managed to get disqualified from the formation lap. I'm not sure how they've quite managed to do that. But anyways, Rick had a good drive. I know he did. It was an incredible drive. He was on old hard tyres. Everyone behind him on fresh softs, and he kept them behind for 4 or 5 laps to win the race. Let's get everything enabled. Tyres. Everyone on the mediums. So I'll keep it on position change because we don't really need to know what tyres everyone's on. Unless someone crashes out and pits for softs. So we're going to get ready to start the race. The race? The race. Quite soon. I do have Jonathan Wattism, but not quite that bad. 9 laps of the sprint race. Can Donev convert? I need to just double check the point system for the sprint. I should really know it, but I can't remember. It is 10 points for P1 and then all the way down to P8. 3 points for P8. No points for P9. So very important to finish top 8 for this sprint race. It was 4. Hey, I got it right. There we go. Hello, Robin A. Good to see you in the chat, man. As everyone lines up on the grid to start the sprint race. 9 laps. Can Donev convert this and close the gap on Ayrton? We're about to find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Japanese sprint race. It's a good start from Donev. Vetsku bogged down a little bit, and here comes Ayrton now round the outside of the Williams as they go towards turn 1. Vetsku has the inside. Ayrton trying to swing it all the way round the outside. Can he hold it? Yes, he can, but he's behind the Williams and he has to settle down for P3. Lifebout right behind, putting pressure on. Short Marcus is there in P5. We've got yellow flags further back. That's DTS Ayrton who spun in sector 1, but Donev leads from Vetsku as Ayrton tries to hold off Lifebout now. Has to hold off for a little bit there after trying to go around the outside of Vetsku at turn 1. Couldn't quite get it done. Then has to settle for P3, but Vetsku's on the back of Donev, the championship challenger. And he's not going to want to have an adverse effect on the championship, Vetsku, but he is going to want to win this sprint race. So a little bit of catch-22 for the Williams driver as they go through sector 2 now towards Spoon. Can Vetsku do anything on Donev? Not yet. So let's have a look who got the best start. Speed and Avi both up 2 places. Of course, DTS Ayrton down 5, but everyone else just up or down 1 or 2 or 1 place. Short Marcus with a good start, getting past the Aston Martin of Dennis up to P5. He's going to be fired up after he threw away his race win last week by pitting too early onto the slicks. And just completely threw away the win. Donev takes the fastest lap, of course, to start off, as Vetsku follows in the slipstream, just 3/10 behind. Vetsku looking very, very good on this track, as Speed Alcoholic making a move on aces down the straight. He's up to P9 now, so up 3 from the start for the South African. as they come through for lap 2. Truckster onto the grass there. That could open up an opportunity for Speed. Has to slow down to avoid hitting the back of the Alfa Romeo. I think there may well have been contact regardless, but he is going to have to settle for P9 for now. As we've got Ayrton actually falling off the back of the top 2 there. He's 9/10 a second behind. He might fall out of DRS, you know, although that was a great exit out of Degner 2 from Ayrton to get himself back in contention. But maybe not the championship leader's favourite track here, as Vetsku, a bit of a slide out of the hairpin, as my dog wants to leave the room, so I will let her out. As we carry on with the race. Deneuve still leads from Vetsku. Ayrton just behind, and Lifebout putting pressure on as well. Short Marcus is there in the Alfa Romeo too. Since 17 in 12 days. Oh, I've got to try and remember to wish you happy birthday when the time comes. As Speed Alcoholic looks down the inside for 130R. That would be very brave, and he does back out of it. The sensible driver I know of Speed would not go for that unless he was right alongside, and a good exit out of the final chicane for Trugster. Show dog, I will later. As they will file through turn 1. Everyone very close together still. Lap 3 of 9, only a third of the way through this sprint race. Not even that. As they head through Sector 1, these tricky S's. No one yet has completely bottled it in the S's. I'm not sure what happened to DTS Ayrton on lap 1, but it was lap 1, so I assume there was contact rather than him binning it. But you never know. Sinful as well has lost a lot of time to the back of everyone in that Mercedes, so that could be a free position for DTS Ayrton, but of course no points, because only the top 8 score points, so Speed Alcoholic getting past Trugster is actually very important for his championship. There's 3 points for 8th and 0 points for 9th. As they head through Sector 2, Vetsku now falling off the back of Deneuve, who is just opening up a little bit of a gap. Ayrton just trying to stay within a second as DTS does get past Sinful, who's really struggling in that Mercedes. I think maybe Tier 2 is the better place for Sinful if he's losing that much time to the back in this sprint after 3 laps, but regardless, Short Marcus just holding on to the back of Lifebout. Denis Ivanov as Lifebout makes an error out of the final chicane. Short Marcus up to P4 as a result. Didn't need to make the overtake thanks to that error from Lifebout, who tries to go down the inside. Denis Ivanov is wide further back as Speed Alcoholic does make the move into P8 down the inside of Trugster, and he is up into the points for this sprint race with 6 laps to go, including this one. And he's going to be chasing after Womack now, who's 3.5 seconds back from the top 6. Short Marcus trying to stay with Ayrton as well, but it's very difficult to stay in that 1 second range of the double reigning champion and championship leader. But Deneuve is leading, all the pressure on his shoulders right now. He knows he has to convert this, and he has to convert the feature race as well in order to give himself the best chance of taking this championship, because it seems like this is not Ayrton's favourite track in terms of pace, so he's got to take advantage when those times come. Vetsku promised you he would win. Well, he's doing the best he can at the moment. He is still P2, still holding off NER Ayrton, but struggling to stay on track with Deneuve at the moment, as we head to the end of lap 4. On to lap number 5. Lifebout coming through the final chicane. Is he going to make another mistake? It looked like it, actually. He lost a couple tenths there to Short Marcus, who is struggling really to stay within the top 3, and especially with the DRS train they've got, Ayrton and Vetsku. Short Marcus going to really struggle to stay with them as Speed Alcoholic makes another move into P7. He is up 5 positions from the start. Fantastic sprint race so far from Speed, 4.4 seconds to P6, so I don't think anything better is on the cards, but he has done the absolute best he can. Fantastic stuff from the South African, and he's going to take 4 points away from this sprint. which I'm sure he'll be very grateful for. Vetsky and Ayrton still sticking with Dunev for now. Dunev just can't quite get rid of them at the moment, probably much to his frustration. And Short Marcus just catching a little bit. If he can get within that 1 second range of Ayrton, then game on. As Womack gets back past Speed, who must have made a mistake at the hairpin. I have cursed him. What have I done? He is down to P8 again, and he's going to have to make that move on the Bulgarian twice this race. But I'm sure he's got the pace to do exactly that. As Avi getting past Trugster, they're side by side on the run to 130R, but Avi, I think, is going to have that move done before Trugster can get back at him. Trugster just staying in that slipstream as they come down towards the final chicane. Trugster is going to go for it round the outside maybe, but Avi holds him off, and they come through the chicane. Avi still in P10, up 3 from his starting position after a lackluster quali. But no points as it stands for the Israeli driver. What do you think will be going through Ayrton's mind at this point? Will he settle for third, knowing he has Brazil to get some extra points, or does he want to extend the gap? Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Well, Short Marcus is now within a second, so Ayrton's got to look both in front of him and behind him at this point. But I think if I was Ayrton, I'd just settle for P3. You've got a 4-point gap. The psychological edge of leading the championship, even by just a couple of points, is so big, in my opinion. So if it were me, he knows that as it stands, he is still going to be leading the championship by 2 points with the feature race to come. And he's usually much better over long distances than in the sprints. So it would make sense. We've got a spinner. That's Lifebout down to P6 out of Spoon. He has spun it and lost a lot of momentum there. Is he going to be in range of Womack? It doesn't look like it. He's still comfortably P6. But yeah, if it were me, I'd stay in P3. But Ayrton, you don't know. He's a serial winner as Speed Alcoholic round the outside of Womack. Womack basically let him go there. Didn't want to interfere with his race. And Speed back up into P7. But yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It is a tricky one. Ayrton, like I said, serial winner. He's not going to want to give up the race win, but I don't know. The thing is with Ayrton, you don't really know I don't really know too much about his race smarts, even though I've been watching him for 2-3 seasons now. He's just, when he gets out in front, he wins the race. It's that simple. Well, unless we're talking about last week. But last week, I don't know what happened. I don't think even he knew what happened. So, yeah. So it's difficult to know really. But he has a good head on his shoulders. He's won 2 championships. He knows what it takes. So I think he'll be smart here and just sit where he is and hope to get a good start for the feature race and clear Vetsku at turn 1. He almost did it to just here in the sprint. Tried to go around the outside but couldn't quite hold it. So yes, I think he will just hope that one of the other 2 makes a mistake, but he's not going to push too hard here as we head on to lap 8 of 9. Funnily enough, when people get in front, they win races. No, what I mean is, usually as soon as Ayrton gets in the lead of a race, he doesn't lose. When he's chasing to get up, then we start to see mistakes from him. That's when you see the most mistakes from the double reigning champion. But when he's leading races, even early on, it just seems inevitable. And even when he's in DRS range of someone, it always just seems inevitable. Even at Monaco, when he was just behind Dunev, I was just thinking in my head, Ayrton's going to win this. Even though it was Monaco. And he did indeed. Managed to undercut Dunev. Dunev had a bad in-lap, and Ayrton had him. So, he's just so good at converting those good positions. But when it comes to chasing down, when he's under pressure, that's when we see the errors creep in. Sean Marcus has lost a lot of time. I think he's just content with P4. He's not going to push too hard to get on track with the top 3, and as you can see by that flashing red light, he has no ERS left either. So wouldn't be able to catch even if he wanted to. All aboard the Womax train, exactly. Who invited Scott? I think if Scott wasn't invited to his own league commentary, something would be wrong. Ayrton does set the fastest lap. I don't think that gets you a point in the sprints in ESRL. I wonder if Scott could confirm that. But it's a good psychological edge for him. Knowing he's got the pace. Is Dennis now right on board with Short Marcus? What has happened to Short Marcus here? He's got no ERS left, but it doesn't explain how much time he's lost. It's 2 seconds he's lost to the front 3 since he was on track with them. And now Denis Ivanov within DRS range. Marcus has got to be careful. There's no DRS heading up to 130R, of course, but it's a long straight, and it's very easy to gain a chunk of time in the slipstream. So if Dennis is right behind the Alfa Romeo, he might be able to snatch P4 on the run to the line, but it looks like Marcus is holding it together just about as Aces, like you say, all aboard the Womax train. He is leading a long train of cars for P8 as Rills round the outside. He tries it, but has to settle down for P11 in the end, just behind Avi. Aces there as well. Womax just holding on to P8. I'm going to ride on board with Denev though. He's coming down towards the final chicane. He's out of ERS, but so are the other two. So they've all been pushing. Denev round the final chicane, and he wins the sprint race in Japan. 2 points gained on his main rival. Vetsku finishes a brilliant P2, holds position from qualifying. Ayrton does the same, P3. Short Marcus does finish P4 from Denis Ivanov in the end. Avi getting past Rills at the final chicane, but there's contact maybe. Avi's round down to P12, and Trugster and Rills. Oh, there's more contact. Rills loses it down to P12 again. What a dramatic end to the sprint for these guys. DTS Ayrton up to P12 as a result. Rills is going to have to settle for P13, and Sinful 30 seconds behind in P14. But a dramatic final chicane there for all of these guys. Womax does secure those 3 points though for AlphaTauri. Great job from him. Led a long train for that whole sprint, but held on to those 3 points. So great stuff from the Bulgarian. Lifeout got rear wing damage after the spin. That is a shame. Dennis has finished a race. Does a sprint count? Does it count? I mean, he's scored points, so I suppose it counts. But anyway, there we go. Results of the sprint race. We are heading to the feature race in just a moment's time. But for now, Denev takes those 10 points for finishing first in the sprint, and Vetsku takes 9 points for finishing just alongside, converting his grid position. Ayrton converts his as well, but would have been hoping for better there in P3. Now he leads the championship by only 2 points with 2 races to go. Short Marcus P4, Denis Ivanov P5 does manage to finish and score points. Lifebout P6, Speed Alcoholic P7, Womax finishes a great P8, securing the last 3 points. And then Aces, Trugster, Avi, DTS Ayrton, and then Rills Taravillo with the spin at the end, and Sinful finishes a very distant P14. And like Lifebout said, it is heavy rain to start the Japanese Grand Prix. Oh boy. And it's going to be wet to dry from what I hear as well. So we are in for something special here. This isn't even the final round. We've got Brazil next week. Half the race is full wet. Oh, wow. Okay. So that means maybe the drivers are going to have to make a decision on whether they pit for fresh wet tyres at some point. or whether they hold out for when it gets dry. All sorts of variables, and this is exactly what Ayrton and Deneuve do not want to see. They do not want more variables interfering with this championship battle. And trust me, when you are in a very tight championship fight, the last thing you want to see in the last couple of races is a changeable weather race. That is absolute nightmare scenario. Me and Lifebout will know that for sure after the end to the APP Elite season last season. Changeable race in Brazil to finish the championship, and Lifebout managed to spin on the pit exit and break half his front wing off. So he basically bottled it. I don't want to talk about it, he says. 8 poles out of 10 and he lost the title. Qualifying merchant, honestly. Alright, anyways. Enough taking the piss out of Lifebout. 27 laps of Japan are to come. Deneuve on pole. Everyone on the wet tyres. We're in for an absolute classic. Is that a copy pasta? Is that a Lifebout copy pasta? Goodness me. This man's made a name for himself. Off on the formation lap we go. 2 points separate Deneuve and Ayrton. Penultimate race. Heart must be going 10 to the dozen for both Deneuve and Ayrton here. A wet start to the race with 2 points in it, and the penultimate round. This formation lap, you're just going to be an absolute bag of nerves. You just want the race to start so you can get rid of the nerves and concentrate on the driving, but it does take 1 or 2 laps to get rid of those nerves. So we'll see if anyone buckles under that pressure. It took 10 minutes writing that. I'm not going to read it all out. I did you enough favours today by doing that, by saving the clip of Monaco. Well, that is the burning question, Zach. That is it. Of course, both of them want to win, but I think just go all out for the first lap and see what happens, see where you get to, and then you've got to think about what to do. But there's so many strategy calls that could go horribly wrong in these sorts of conditions. We saw it last week from Short Marcus in Monza, leading the race, looked to have a comfortable race victory and get himself into the championship fight, but ended up putting on the slicks and throwing it all away. Deneuve getting disqualified from the formation lap, going a bit too far in his grid box, so set back a couple of meters. And how crucial could that be as we're about to get underway for the Japanese Grand Prix? 5 red lights. And we're off for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a good start from Vetsku from P2. Deneuve obviously set back a few meters. Ayrton's there as well, the top 3 heading towards turn 1. Who's going to be P1? Vetsku down the inside. Deneuve is wide. Ayrton could get through as well. Deneuve holds on. Vetsku a little bit out of sorts out of turn 1, but he takes the lead. The Finnish driver into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. Deneuve has to settle for second. Ayrton just following on. A lot of position changes going back further down. Lifebout up 2 from the start. What a start from the Dutchman. But it is Vetsku who leads the Grand Prix. Trugster up to 10th from Womax, who's had a horrible start in that AlphaTauri after such a good sprint race. It's Deneuve very wide at the first Degner. And down towards the second Degner, Ayrton is going to be looking very feisty on the back of his championship rival. What could happen here? with potential for maximum drama here as Vetsku goes very wide. Obviously no assists in ESRL, none of them have the racing line, so they've all got to just feel their way around the track, find out where the optimal braking points are in these wet conditions. And down towards Spoon, this is a very difficult corner, typically in the wet, but they've all navigated it fairly well. Although Donev losing a bit of time to Vetsku, who's absolutely flying in that Williams right now. Fantastic start to this race. What a drama-filled start. Lifebout goes very deep at 130R. Tried to take it flat out. That did not work. Denis Ivanov right behind short markers as well. It's a 6-car train. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 car train perhaps for P1. Of course, in these wet conditions, that is to be expected. No DRS for anyone at the moment until it gets dry. I hear it will get dry later on. As Donev now pushing Vetsku through turn 1, almost sparks coming off the back of that Williams. As Donev a bit wide though through turn 2, and that'll lose him a couple of tenths, but it's going to be so difficult to overtake here. Those positions gained on lap 1 for anyone who did gain positions could be absolutely crucial, because in the wet conditions it's just almost impossible to make a move. The best you've got is slipstream down to 130R, I reckon, but even then you need a huge pace advantage on the car ahead to have any chance. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Zach. Losing P1 hugely detrimental to the confidence of Donev, but he's within half a second of Vetsku. I think the key is going to be to not make mistakes like that, just to stay on track, because if you start losing time to the car ahead, you start getting frustrated as Vetsku very deep in Spoon. Lifebout the same further back. It must be the Williams line as they go through. Lifebout now putting pressure on NER Ayrton, and this is the last thing that the Danish driver wants. Lifebout just behind him as they head to 130R, especially after the last time Lifebout took 130R. Takes it much further inside this time and lifts off. Donev, though, right behind Vetsku as they head towards the final chicane. Here we go. Donev through the final corner. Vetsku, fastest lap again. He is flying in that Williams, but obviously Donev in that dirty air. Not as much dirty air in this year's cars, in fact barely any, but it still does happen, it still does exist. And even if it isn't dirty air, it's the distraction of having a car in front of you can be very detrimental, even if it just psychologically, even if not physically in the race, in the car. Donev takes a much wider line on the entrance to, that's Dunlop, I believe, and down towards Degner's 1 and 2 now. Donev a bit wide again. You've got to be careful on that curb, especially this one right here. If you get too much on that curb on the exit, you are gone into the wall. And I'm sure they all know that, as Donev has a little look down the inside for the hairpin. He gets a much better drive in, but Vetsku gets a better drive out with his wider line. So Donev still has to hold back, and a little bit of a mistake there again from Donev. It's not the first time we've seen him have a little twitch down that mini straight there, leading to Spoon. A bit wide there, is going to lose him a few more tenths, and now Ayrton's right behind. 7 tenths the gap to Vetsku. And here is NER Ayrton, the two championship rivals within 3 tenths, but I've got a view of some trees for some reason. Thank you for that, Codemasters. Down towards 130R, Ayrton almost cutting it. I wonder if he got a warning for that on the inside. And Lifebout's lost out a little bit now to the top 3, who are starting to extend their gap and show their true pace in this race. In these wet conditions, Vetsku sets another fastest lap, but Donev so much better in that final sector. I think he's got a lot less wings than Vetsku as he goes down the inside. A bit of contact maybe, tiny wheel bang between the two, but Vetsku just about holds on. So close to Donev making that move, but Vetsku holding on for this race win. Donev does not want to send it for a dangerous move and lose out. That would be a huge blow to his championship hopes. He is currently sitting P2. As it stands, Deneuve and Ayrton would be level on points, I believe. I think it's 25 and then 20 and then 18 in terms of points for the top three. So as it stands, it would be level for the final race. And I mean, you can't ask for better than that. You really can't. But Deneuve looking very, very quick here. He's just going to not make a mistake at this part of the track. And this time he hasn't, so Vetsku could be in danger here on the run to the chicane as long as Deneuve gets a good exit out of Spoon. Vetsku a little bit deep, but Deneuve even deeper as he does try and get that good exit. And Vetsku deep on the exit. Twitch from Deneuve though, and that's going to cost him an opportunity as Ayrton's struggling as well to stay on track with them. He is definitely not his favourite track here, Ayrton. He doesn't seem comfortable here. At all compared to what we've seen from him on previous tracks, as Deneuve tries to get a wider line and a better exit out the chicane, but he's got to be careful not to lose it on exit. Short shifts to 5th and still gets a bit of a twitch on the exit. That's how difficult it is in these heavy rain conditions. Dennis now sets the fastest lap down in P6 with a bit of clear air. We've got yellow flags in sector 3. That is Trugster as Vetsku goes wide. Deneuve down the inside of turn 1. Vetsku's going to have the inside for turn 2, but Deneuve sweeps all the way around the outside and takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. What a move from the championship contender. And he is going to be looking to extend that gap now in that Alpine. Vetsku has got to try and hold on, because if he loses out for over time of these next few laps, it's going to be difficult to get back in range, especially when it gets dry again, and he's going to have Ayrton all over him now as Vetsku tries his best to get the best line out of Degners, but I think he pushed a bit too hard there because he just got too much on the curb and had to slow down, and now he's under pressure from the championship leader. That's Lifeboat out, spinning around at the exit of the hairpin, a bit too much throttle, and he's all the way down to P9. Disaster for the Dutchman, but it does promote Denis Ivanov to P4, and that's exactly what Aston Martin need, although that penalty on his person is not quite what they need in their quest for the Constructors' Championship. Let's go down to P2 then. We've got Spinner, that's Sinful in Sector 2, down to P14 again. And Vetsku already out of the 1 second range of Deneuve. He's got so much pace, does the Bulgarian, in that Alpine. And Vetsku really struggling now to hold on. And now he's got the championship leader, the double reigning champion, NER Ayrton, right behind him. That is not what you want to hear as a driver. He is the last person you want to see in your mirrors in ESRL. But Vetsku's got to hold on. He could have a huge effect on this championship, Vetsku, inadvertently, because it is just these top three. Vetsku with a lot of pace today, really, really impressive. He doesn't have a podium yet this season, remember, so if he can finish top 3 today, that would be a massive result for him. But it's in what order will they be? That's the question, as there's a little bit of a twitch from the Williams just ahead as they head through, but Ayrton just does not seem as confident. He's not as confident at all. He's into the gravel nearly at Degner 1. Big mistake from the reigning champ, and that's just the sign that he's just not comfortable on this track in these conditions as he is usually. He's going to have to try and gain that time back. I'm sure he will, but that will put a bit of a pit in his stomach. It's going to knock his confidence quite a bit. Deneuve extending to 1.4 seconds at the front. Back down to 1.3. A poor exit from Spoon, it seems. Vetsku a little bit better there. And Ayrton back within 1 second range. Short Marcus as well, still within 1 second range of Denis Ivanov for P4. Marcus, I think, unless disaster happens to the top 2 in the championship, his mistake in strategy last week is going to cost him a shot at the championship, I think, unfortunately for him. But he's still going to want to finish the best he can, because if the disaster does strike for those top 2 at some point in the next week, then he's going to want to be there to pick up the pieces. And at the moment, that's exactly what he's trying to do, right on the back of Dennis. He doesn't need to overtake him for the position at the end of the race, but of course, it does look like he's got more pace in that Alfa Romeo, and he's going to want to get on onto the back of his rival NER Ayrton for those podium places. Round Dunlop they go. Short marker's still right in the wheel tracks. Let's have a look at some of the midfield drivers. Aces, Avi and Lifebout all within a second of each other. And Speed, of course, at the front of the train in the Ferrari. Sitting P6 very nicely, but Ace is right behind. He's doing really well in that McLaren today. He's not had a good season, it's safe to say. It's been a very poor season for Aces by his standards in ESRL. Short Markers does get past Denis Ivanov on the run to Spoon. Must have been a mistake from the Aston. There's another one as he goes wide at Spoon corner, and he's down to P5. Short Marcus now 1.6 seconds trying to chase after Ayrton, who's gotten back onto the back of Vetsku. We've got another spinner. Is that Lifebout again? It is at Spoon, the same place as well. No, sorry, he spun at the hairpin last time, so but it is the same place he spun in the sprint, I believe. So Lifebout, not a fan of Spoon today. And down to P10 after a fantastic start that he had. Deneuve setting the fastest lap though. Looking very comfortable at the front. And he's going to be hoping that Vetsku can hold off his rival. But Vetsku wide at turn 1 again. That's the third or fourth time he's done that so far this race. He's just about managed to hold off Ayrton for now, but lost a lot of time to Deneuve, and Ayrton's going to be frustrated now. He saw Deneuve make the move there, but he couldn't quite do it himself. Maybe just wasn't brave enough on the throttle, or didn't want to ruin his championship with a rash move. A little bit of a twitch out of Dunlop as well for the reigning champion. And Short Marcus is catching them. 1.2 seconds now is the gap between those two and the Alfa Romeo. Denis Ivanov there as well. And this could get very, very interesting. We could have a 5-way battle for P2. Deneuve is well clear right now. Lifebout gets himself a track limits penalty as his day goes from bad to worse. Vetsky just holding off Ayrton. Doing what he needs to do to finish on the podium today, but he's going to be a little bit spooked by Short Marcus getting so close to the back of them, and now Short Marcus is in that 1 second range. No DRS of course in the wet, but it's still sort of slipstream range at least, and certainly capitalizing range if there is a mistake from either of the two ahead of him. So great driving from Marcus to get himself back in this fight. And Ayrton just riding on board with him through Spoon. Again, he just didn't seem comfortable. He felt like he was going to understeer wide, and he was. Had to lift off, and didn't get the exit he wanted to do. Let's ride on board with him through turn 1. Is Vetsku going to go wide again? A little bit, actually, but not as bad as it was on the last lap. But I'm just going to ride on board with Ayrton. Lifebout's into the pits. I don't know if he's doing that to retire. Doesn't seem like it. Is he going on the inters? Is he going on the inters? That's what we've got to find out. Let's put tyres on. Yes, he is. Trugster's onto the inters as well with his pit stop. So we've got to monitor their progress. I'm going to ride on board with Lifebout, actually, as he comes out the pit lane now. I will keep an eye on the gaps up ahead, but to see if anything changes. But I just want to ride on board with Lifebout and see how difficult it is on those inters. Dennis gets himself another track limits penalty. He is really struggling to stay on the track at the moment in that Aston Martin. But Lifebout seems fairly comfortable here as Aces getting past Speed though on the run to the hairpin through Degner 2. Must have been a mistake from the Ferrari driver, and Aces continues his good race up to P6 in that McLaren. Great stuff for him. But Lifebout seems really confident on those inters, I've got to say. So it is drying up. It's starting to get lighter, this rain. And when are we going to see the leaders take the plunge? That's the question. They've got everything to lose. Lifebout, of course, had nothing to lose, but look how much Ayrton's gaining on the run to 130R. Can he make the move into the chicane? He's sizing it up, but he backs out just before the braking zone. Just letting Vetsku know he's there, and if Vetsku makes another mistake at turn 1, Ayrton is going to be there to pounce, or is he? A bit of a twitch. And another one as they go on exit. Deneuve with another fastest lap in that Alpine. As Ayrton right behind Vetscu. Is there going to be another mistake from the Williams driver? Yes, there is. He's wide at turn 1. But maybe just a different line that he takes. But it's a very risky line, I have to say, in these conditions. Because it's so easy to just overdo it a little bit with no assists on. And just understeer wide, and that's what happened before. That's how we saw Deneuve get past him earlier on, and how we saw Ayrton nearly get past him as well. Short Marcus is still within that 1 second range, but just about on the cusp of it. It seems like he's preying on mistakes from these other two, rather than actually being faster than them, but it remains to be seen. More drivers coming in for Inters, Rills and Womack, both in for the intermediates this lap. When are the leaders going to take the plunge? Deneuve and Ayrton, they just don't want to screw this up. That's the problem. If they come in too early, it's race over, and of course they could be stuck in traffic as well. There's so many risks involved in pitting for the Inters. All they can do is just try and feel out the track for themselves. I don't know if Ayrton and Denis Ivanov are in a party together, but if they are, Denis could give some intel to his teammate as Avi gets past speed, but we've got to ride on board with these two because Ayrton again right behind Vetscu. So much more straight line speed up to 130R, but just can't make a move, but a bit wide on the chicane for Vetscu. Deneuve is into the pits. Ayrton into the pits as well. They're both coming in for the Inters. Vetscu stays out. Is it time? Short Marcus in as well. He made the mistake last week. He doesn't want to do it again. Deneuve onto the intermediate tyres. Out the pits he goes. Vetscu takes the race lead. But are they going to come out in traffic? Avi's stayed out, so I think they are. Deneuve just coming out the pits now. There goes Avi. And Deneuve is going to have to stay just behind him and hope that Avi pits this lap so he doesn't have to deal with getting past him. Aces and Speed switching positions in the pit lane as Aces just stays ahead for now. Let's ride on board with Deneuve for a bit, see how comfortable he is on those Inters. He seems fairly comfortable. I think it's definitely Inter weather, so Vetscu might just get jumped by Ayrton here in the pit lane. He's got to have a fantastic in-lap in that Williams in order to keep position. It's going to be very close. But Deneuve wide, and he's gotten a 3-second time penalty. How costly could that be towards the end? He's got 4-second gap to Ayrton, but can he hold him off? Can he keep that gap open as it stands at the moment? They are gaining time on Avi quite rapidly, so it is definitely the Inters. It's definitely time to change over. But Ayrton gained 2 or 3 tenths there in that hairpin, so Deneuve has got to be careful here. If he loses this race win through a penalty for track limits, I don't think he's going to forgive himself. That would be such a horrible way to lose a championship, never mind a race. But it could very, very easily happen. Short Marcus, 2.4 seconds down on Ayrton. He has not had a good outlap. Vetscu into the pits. Here we go for the Inter tyres. Is Avi going to come in as well? Surely he is. Deneuve is right behind him now. That's how the pace difference between the wets and the Inters now. Avi into the pits. Vetscu coming out the pits. Where is Ayrton? Have a look on the right-hand side of the screen. Where's Vetscu? He's not there. Vetscu just coming out the pits now. He's going to be behind even Short Marcus. He's called it wrong. He's come in 1 lap too late in the Williams, and he's down to P4. He's going to be absolutely gutted with that because he was flying in P2. Didn't seem like anything could stop him when he's got a double reigning champion behind him and keeping him behind. But Vetscu down to 4th place, and I think he may have bottled his podium, although Short Marcus right ahead. And we saw Short Marcus didn't quite have the pace on them we thought in that first stint, but as the conditions change, you never know how the pace is going to change. Vetscu with a huge slide in Dunlop, but manages to hold it together. In nearly 3 seasons, NER Ayrton has incurred 0 track limit penalties. Well, there's a stat. As Denis Ivanov gets another one, his teammate, in stark contrast. 9 seconds now for Denis. As Vetscu, a big slide on the run to Spoon, but just about holds it together in P4 there. He's going to have to do better than that to get himself onto the podium. He hasn't had a podium yet this season. He definitely deserves one, but sometimes you don't get what you deserve. Just ask Nico Hulkenberg. So we will see what happens. Purple second sector from short Marcus. He is flying at the moment as Ayrton has to try and close that gap to Deneuve. Make sure he doesn't get a penalty of his own, of course. But 3.8 seconds. Deneuve sets the fastest lap, though, so he is pushing hard. But short Marcus there with the fastest lap now, so he's pushing as well in that Alfa Romeo to try and catch up to Ayrton. All is not over yet, far from it. As Ayrton and Deneuve trading times really at the moment. Deneuve just seems the more comfortable though in these conditions and on this track. 4 seconds is the gap. He's got to make sure he maintains that gap because like you said Scott, he cannot rely on Ayrton getting track limits penalty. He hasn't had a single one in 3 seasons actually. I just noticed, by the way, after putting this stream up, I've been putting season 3 up this whole time on the titles. It's season 4. What am I talking about? But big news there, because F1 Vetsku has gotten himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and Trugster does the same further back. But that surely could be his chance at a podium vanquished from just a small error. A third warning, and it's a 3-second penalty. He's got to really push hard now if he wants to find himself on the podium. Rils Taravillo getting past Speed further back, who must have made a mistake in the Ferrari, because I think he lost 2 positions there. Avi up to P8, Rils Taravillo up to P9. The reserve driver, it's good to see him back. Haven't seen Rils for a while. So it's great to see him racing. I cannot wait to race him against him in APP for the upcoming Elite season there. Vetsku now sets the fastest lap. He is pushing to try and make up for that penalty. Avi right behind Aces at the moment in the Mercedes as well for P7. Pedals going on up and down the grid. Ayrton has caught Deneuve this lap by about 3 or 4 tenths. So Deneuve got to make sure he stays consistent here. An error could see him out of that lead position, and Aces a bit wide, leaving Avi some space on the inside, but just about managing to get the better run through as Avi a bit wide through turn 2, Aces through turn 3. Exchanging interesting racing lines here. Rils just has to watch on as Avi a bit wide there as well. Down through Dunlop, Aces a bit of a twitch, Avi just about holding it together. But very close between these three. 4 P7 at the moment. We've got to keep an eye on that gap at the front. 3.5 seconds now. Ayrton relentlessly closing down Deneuve. And Deneuve, could he regret getting that penalty? He didn't have to. He was so far clear as Aces goes wide. Avi round the outside now on the run towards Spoon. Can he hold it? Aces leaves him just enough room, but Avi's putting the throttle in. He's going to have the inside line for Spoon. He has to back out just about, and Aces holds it round the outside. Great stuff between those two. And Aces holds P4, but Deneuve sets the fastest lap and responds to Ayrton catching him at 39.6. 3.9 seconds again is the gap. And oh my goodness, I am so nervous for the both of them, but especially Deneuve, because he knows how important it is going to be to take this race win, as Sinful loses it in Sector 2 further back. Here comes Avi on the back of Aces again. These two still battling on the run to turn 1, and Speed Alcoholic on the back of Rils as well. It's 2 by 2 down towards turn 1. Avi round the outside, as is Speed. Can Avi hold it round the outside for turn 1? Aces just about holds the inside line and keeps him behind. Rils does the same just behind, and no position changes after all that. But Rils struggling through the S's. Could Speed make an unorthodox move through here in the wet? Not yet. Rils holding on for now, and Speed, of course, with that time penalty that you can see on the screen. So that could cost him as well. Everyone on the inters, when is it going to get dry? Is it going to get dry as Speed nearly bins it into the wall? That's one thing Deneuve really is not going to be hoping for. He doesn't want someone to bin it and bring out a safety car, because that would be absolutely killer for his race. 3-second penalty, it'd drop him to P3 if they all bunch up, and that would be his championship hopes. Well, he would feel gone up in smoke. Speed Alcoholic just behind Wills still. Deneuve sets another fastest lap. He is pushing hard right now at the front, but there is that always looming threat of a safety car if anyone bins it. Only 12 laps to go in this race. And Speed continues to hold on the back of Rils Taravillo, and Avi gets a better exit out the chicane than Aces, but no, just took a wider line. But it's so difficult, even when you get the better line than the car ahead in these conditions, and even in the dry at that corner, to be honest, it's so difficult to get the power down faster than your rival, as again Aces takes that wide line through turn 1, and Avi has a look at the inside but can't quite make the move as they go through the S's. Deneuve and Ayrton still about 4 seconds separate them, but a bit of a mistake from Deneuve, maybe? No, maybe just a different line, because that gap just jumped up and then went back down again. Short Marcus holding on in P3. Vetsku has lost a lot of time to the Alfa Romeo, so Short Marcus doing everything he can to keep that podium position as it stands. These four still locked together, and the two AlphaTauris locked together as well through the S's. I'm seeing as Aces wide again, takes that wide line, and Ayrton has lost about half a second there through sector 2 on the race leader. Trugster into the pits again. Is it slicks? It is. It's slick tyres for Trugster. Is it too early though? Deneuve, another fastest lap. The track is definitely drying out, but surely it's too early for slicks. It's still so damp out there as they head down towards the final chicane, these four. 2x2 again. Speed Alcoholic down the inside though of Rils Taravillo towards 130R. Is there going to be contact? No. There's a yellow flag in 2 sectors. I'm not quite sure what's caused that, but maybe it's Trugster on those slick tyres. But it's back to green. I was so scared that would be a safety car, but it isn't. Rils Taravillo down to 10th. Speed up to 9th. But Avi and Aces still locked together. Let's go right on board with Trugster. See, oh, he's really struggling on those slicks. It's definitely still Inters. He is coming far too early. But the problem is that going to convince anyone else to come in? Just him coming in, the very idea of him coming in at all, is that going to distract any other drivers? It certainly distracted Lifebout, who's gone round again, this time at Dunlop. He's going round at every corner. He's trying to catch them all here. As that Short Marcus? No, it's Trugster. It's the other one. The other Alfa Romeo round, and just letting people through. He knows he's chosen the wrong tyre, but there could be a big crash here because he is... Although he is going to ghost out the way. Okay. I forgot they turned ghosting back on. I was a bit worried there. But he does let them through. But Deneuve is going to have his heart in his mouth here after seeing Trugster on those slicks, if he saw him. Because very, very high potential for Trugster to bin it on the wrong tyres as he lets more drivers through. Goes down another lap as Speed gets past Avi through Spoon. They're side by side, and it's another 3-second time penalty for Deneuve though. He's up to 6 seconds. Has he bottled it? 5.1. It's going to be close though. He is gaining time on Ayrton, but he's got to really push, and pushing could invite more track limits penalties on the Alpine. As it stands, Ayrton is winning this race, so Deneuve has just got to hope that he can extend those 6 seconds. But what a disaster, what an unnecessary way to lose a race this would be for Deneuve. But Ayrton, he's gotten his first ever 3-second time penalty for track limits. Unbelievable. He's never had one ever before in ESRL, and just at the crucial time to not get one, he finally gets one. It's back to 3 seconds parity between the two. Short Marcus is there as well, 3.8 seconds behind. We've got more yellow flags as Rils Taravillo's onto the mediums, Womax is onto the mediums, people are coming onto the slicks. This race is absolutely insane. Who's going to come out on the slick tyres first of the leaders? Is it dry tyres yet? It looks quite dry out there. I've got to say, there is a dry line appearing, but I'm not sure it's quite slick conditions just yet. Is that gap reducing to DTS Ayrton? No, it's not. It's still increasing at the moment. It is still inters, but not for too much longer. It's definitely stopped raining. Speed Alcoholic right behind Aces versus Kings. We've got yellow flags in Sector 2. That is Trugster again round. And every time Denev sees a yellow flag, he's going to be nervous because he knows how important it could be. Denis Ivanov now in the pits for the slick tyres. Is he going to pass information on to Ayrton? I don't know if they're in a party as Speed gets past Aces on the run to the chicane. Great stuff from the South African. He's up to P7, but he's in the pits. Everyone's in the pits now for the slicks. Lifebout gets himself a pit lane speeding penalty, but all of the top four still staying out. Who's going to bite first? Everyone else onto the mediums behind them. Lifebout onto the softs. He is really pushing his luck there. DTS Ayrton still in the inters as well as Sinful, but these top four have got to make a decision now. It's clearly dry. Look, there's still a few raindrops on the camera, but it's clearly dry. It's definitely time for slicks, so surely they're going to come in now, but they've got to be careful because if they stay out another lap just hoping they don't make a mistake and come in too early, it could be curtains for their race chances. It's another purple sector for Denev. The track's drying out. I don't know how many warnings he has, but I don't want to cut away from the race to check. Is he going to come into the pits? Surely he is. Yes, he is. Denev into the pits. For what tyre, though? Is it going to be mediums or softs? Ayrton into the pits as well. And I'm sure Short Markers and Vetsku will follow duly. Denev into the pits for intermediates. Oh, no. Oh, no. Mark has absolutely screwed him over. Denev onto the inters. He has thrown the race away. I can't believe what I'm seeing. He is going to be furious. Absolutely furious. He's going to be all the way down to P4. And he's going to have to rely on... Oh no, he's in the gravel. I can't believe what I've just seen. I can't believe it. Denev's going to be all the way down to P5 at best. He's got the 6 seconds of penalties as well. Ayrton winning the race would mean Denev and Denev P5. That would mean a 10-point advantage for Ayrton. 12 points would be the gap heading into the final race at Brazil. But Short Marcus, look at this. Short Marcus is within 3 seconds of Ayrton, and Vetsku is right there as well. So Ayrton could still drop to third here, although Vetsku has a penalty as well, so that won't happen. But Short Marcus is catching fast on those soft tyres. But of course those tyres are going to be absolutely gone by the end of the race. So it could be a short-lived advantage for Short Marcus, but at the moment Ayrton would finish P2. Denev has stayed out. He's gambling. He's staying on the intermediates. And he's not doing too badly, to be honest, on those inters. He's still gaining time. Vetsku's right behind Short Marcus as they come towards turn 1. Can Vetsku do it? Down the inside? No, he can't. He's going to have to stay just behind as they go through Sector 1. Lap 21 of 27, but the track's drying out more and more, and Denev's going to struggle more and more. 2.3, it's coming down very quickly, that gap now. Denev, I think you've got to count your chickens, sir. You've got to come in for slicks. You should have done it last lap. Should have taken the L, I think. But staying out another lap is just going to make it even more of an L, as that's 2 seconds he's just lost. It's going to be more time as they go through the last sector. Short Marcus right behind Ayrton now. Vetsku's there as well with DRS. It is enabled, so Ayrton down towards Spoon. Can I show penalties? Yes, I can. Denev on 6, Ayrton on 3, Vetsku on 3, Denis Ivanov on 9, and Lifebout on 11. So Denev would go only down to P5, but here comes Ayrton down the inside of Denev through 130R, makes the move. Denev can't do anything about it on those inters. He's got to come in for slicks. We've got yellow flags though. That is a spinner. I think that's Trugster, the other Alfa Romeo. Denev is into the pits. He's finally taken his L. Don't get a time penalty. He hasn't got one coming into the pit lane, thank goodness. But he's going to be onto the slicks. Denis Ivanov just coming around the final corner now. Denev onto the soft tyres. But he's going to be devastated with that. Absolutely devastated. He is going to come out in a comfortable P5. Yeah, Lifebout just coming down the straight now. It's not going to be too comfortable, but it should be fairly alright. And Denev in P5. He's got to catch 7 seconds on Denis Ivanov in 6 laps in order to take P4 today. But NER Ayrton's now under pressure from Short Marcus and Vetsku as they come through. Those soft tyres really working dividends. I think Ayrton might have made the wrong tyre choice, although, like we said, those soft tyres are going to be absolutely torn apart by the end of the race. But in the short term, Marcus and Vetsku are putting Ayrton under a huge amount of pressure as they come through Spoon. Short Marcus, as it stands, would win the race thanks to Ayrton's time penalty. But nothing is guaranteed in motorsport. And with 5 laps to go at the end of this one, and those soft tyres just going to get worse as the race goes on, it's far from over. But Short Marcus has the DRS now on the run to turn 1. It sets the fastest lap. He is still flying in that Alfa Romeo. Vetsku right behind as well. He's going to have dreams of winning this race if anything happens to Marcus. If he gets a penalty or something. Ayrton struggling on those mediums still compared to the softs. Short Marcus just maximising the car through the S's. He really wants this race win. He doesn't want to lose it. He knows this is the time he's got to push. He's got to make use of those soft tyres and in theory get past Ayrton to give him the best chance of winning the race. But that is very much easier said than done as they come down to the hairpin. Vetsku is right behind as well. He's got to look behind him. Denis Ivanov with another time penalty, and that could give Denev more of an opportunity. Denev has got to gain 4 seconds on him in order to take P4, what could be a crucial extra point in this battle. I think whoever has the fastest lap once those soft tyres start to diminish is going to take it, that extra point. Unless someone else pits late on for another set of softs. So Denev is going to want that fastest lap point as well. 2 points separate Denev and Ayrton before this race. As it stands, if Denev does manage to take P4 and fastest lap, as I think he will, but he doesn't seem to be catching Denis all that quickly, now I say it, but let's assume he takes P4 and fastest lap, and Ayrton takes P2, as it looks like he's going to at the moment. That would mean Ayrton 20 points and Denev 17. So it would be a 5-point gap with 1 race to go. And that is the difference between winning and P2. It's 25 to 20. So it could come down to count back. There is a world where this championship comes down to count back. Ayrton would win it. If that was the case, he has way more race wins than Denev this season. But what a finish it would be if it did come down to that. Short Marcus still putting the pressure on. An inside line through the hairpin, but Ayrton gets the better exit. Those soft tyres still haven't dropped off yet. Vetsku struggling though to stay on board with them. Maybe he's struggling a bit more on the tyres than Marcus is at this point in time. But all Marcus has to do is not get a penalty and stay within 3 seconds. Ayrton, I can't believe he got that penalty. Just at the most crucial time, he gets his first track limits penalty in 3 seasons. That is absolutely incredible. Short Marcus a bit on the grass. I was worried he would spin it there. I've done that myself. Nearly just putting a wheel on the grass on entry to 130R and nearly spinning it into the wall. But he's kept it together. And still within DRS. 3 laps to go now. Deneuve is not catching Dennis at all. What is happening to Deneuve? Where is his pace gone in that Alpine? 9.8 seconds to Dennis. I don't know what's happened to his pace at all. 10.1. What is happening here? Why is Deneuve not catching? I do not know. I mean, that was half a second there, but he needs another 2.5 seconds, 3.5 seconds rather, to take P4, and he's not anywhere near the fastest lap. Let's have a quick look at fastest lap. It's 31.2. Deneuve's is a 31.4, so he's still 0.2 off that extra point as well. So Deneuve, oh, just, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. What a way to lose a race and possibly to lose a championship. Just putting the wrong tyre on. A crucial time to do it. But it's happened. It's happened. He has Ferrari'd this race away. Could he Ferrari this championship away? We'll have to wait and see for next week to find out the answer to that. Vetsku's already out of ERS, you can see from the flashing red light on the back of the Williams. So he's going to struggle to keep on track with these top two. But Short Marcus is doing an expert job at staying within that 1 second range of Ayrton, but a bit of a mistake there has lost him a few tenths down the straight, even more than a few tenths. 2 laps to go. He's got to be careful here. He does still have the DRS, but I don't think he's going to have it after this lap. Ayrton is pushing so hard right now. He must have much more ERS in the tank. He's got 50% to Short Marcus's about 17. So Ayrton, 2 laps to go, trying to pull 3 seconds. He knows how crucial this is going to be in the championship fight. 1 second is the gap. Short Marcus desperate for this race win. He so wants it. He's already had a race win this season, but he wants another one. He really, really does, especially after the heartbreak of last week. We've got yellow flags in sector 1. Who's that? It's Lifebout again, continuing his quest to spin at every single corner of the track. That is 4 now. He's down to P7, P8, excuse me. Short Marcus 1.1 seconds. He's using the overtake. So is Ayrton at every straight. He is pushing hard. 1.2 seconds is the gap. He needs to pull another 1.7 in 1 lap in order to take the win. Vetsku gets another time penalty, so he's out of contention for the race win well and truly now. Short Marcus 1.4 behind. 1.5 it's going to be. More than that as they come to the final chicane. He's got to take it as best he can. Nails both apexes, but look at the gap. It's still lost a tenth. And Ayrton sets the fastest lap. How crucial could that be? What a lap from Ayrton to get the extra point. Short Marcus losing time all the way down the straight. He's got nothing left in the tank. Ayrton's got nothing left either. It's up to 2 seconds the gap. 1 lap to go. Final lap. Short Marcus has just got to make sure he stays in 3 seconds, but it's losing time all the time. Deneuve sets the fastest lap. He's down to 7.9 on Denis Ivanov. He needs another 2 seconds in 1 lap in order to take 4th place. But how crucial is stealing the fastest lap going to be, I wonder? Short Marcus 2.4 to Ayrton. Down through Degner's. No, he's lost it. He has lost it at Degner 2. He's down to P3. Vetsku's ahead. But that is going to be the race win for Ayrton, surely. What a moment that could be in the championship. Short Marcus down to P3. It's going to be P2 at the line. But he has bottled away this race win. He had it in the bag, but Ayrton, consistent as ever, even with the time penalty. He is going to win this race. Ayrton down towards the line. The final chicane for NER Ayrton. The double reigning champion extends his lead. Short Marcus into P2, but NER Ayrton comes round the final corner. He wins the Japanese Grand Prix in dramatic style. Short Marcus takes P2. He's going to be gutted to lose out. Vetsku finishes on the podium. What a race from him. Denis Ivanov is going to finish P4. Donev is going to take fastest lap, but it's going to be P5. He has thrown it away. Ferrari the championship. P5, 16 points for him, 25 for Ayrton. The gap will be 11 points for the final race in Brazil. But it could have been so much more for Donev. Heartbreak for the Bulgarian. Just a mistake in the pit lane, putting on the wrong tyre. And he has paid for it. Lifebout takes P9 at the line from Aces versus Kings, although actually no, I think he binned it at the final corner and just about manages to hold on to 9th place. Rils Taravillo P8. Speed Alcoholic finishes a good P6. Avi P7. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This man is going to be heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. What can you say? He needs an absolute disaster for Ayrton to win this title. But Ayrton wins yet another race through thick and thin. I don't know what to say, guys. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I hold no biases as a commentator. You all know that. But I mean, I would much rather have a 2 or 3 point gap in the championship heading into the final race than 12, because now all Ayrton needs to do is just finish the race next week and he should take the title. So it's just, you know, what can you say? The gap should be 12, I believe, because Donev has fastest lap. So he basically needs Ayrton to DNF. Ayrton has won all but one of the races which he hasn't crashed in this season. I mean, that goes, and the only one was the first race in which he still got a podium. But he does win today. Short Marcus P2, Vetsku on the podium for the first time this season. Denis Ivanov 4th, Donev, Speed Alcoholic, Avi, Rils, Lifebout, DTS Ayrton, Aces, Wumax, Trugster, and Sinful did manage to finish the race in last place. But Donev, I can't believe it. We all have our favourite, but we don't show it. I mean, I wouldn't say I have a favourite on this grid, to be honest. Like, genuinely, that's not just commentator speak. I genuinely don't really have a favourite on this grid. I'd just rather the championship be closer than 12 points, you know, heading into the last race, especially when it had so much promise, and it was just Donev putting on the wrong tyre. But like Scott said, this race had absolutely everything. No, in the point system in ESRL is different, Zach. It's 25, 20, 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, and all the way down. So Donev lost, he had fastest lap, so he lost 9 points today in that race. So it will be, and it was 2, so it will be 11 points then, I think. I think it will be 11 points, the gap. I'll see the standings later. Those are things that craft a champion. Exactly. You've got to be on the right tyre. You've got to select the right tyre. I mean, we all know this game can be a bit difficult with that. If you select the tyre and then Mark harasses you about a new strategy that puts you on a different tyre, it can screw your race up. But we all know that. That's the thing. We're all on equal terms with that now. We've had this game for, what, 9 months. We all know that that's what happens if you select the strategy from Mark. So it's nerves, it's human error, that is, and it's critical. Too many point systems in sim racing. Who did you hold off? Oh god, I don't bloody know. Probably Lifebout. Lifebout, Poorly Orange, Banter Brandon, and Jack? That's my guess. What a race. What a race in Japan. I do have to hand down my Driver of the Day award. I know he binned it in the end, but I'm going to give it to Short Marcus. Battling through the field, nearly taking the race win. So I'm going to give Driver of the Day to Short Marcus. Speed was the other one. Milking is rare, good result, and making sure people still talk about it. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. But yes, there we go. There is your race in Japan, race 11 of 12 of ESRL. Next week, we will be here for the finale in Brazil. 2 championships. The constructors, I believe, will still be on because Denis Ivanov finished a race, everyone. Everyone celebrate, set off the party poppers. He finished a race and has gotten Aston Martin well into the constructors title race. So game on for both titles, but all Ayrton has to do next week, he's 11 points clear by my calculations, so he needs to finish, assuming Deneuve wins with fastest lap, Ayrton, all he needs to do is finish 6th or higher, and he will win the title. So there we go. It's going to be plain sailing for NER Ayrton, you have to think, but nothing's for certain in motorsport. We saw Ayrton get a time penalty today for the first time in 3 seasons. We saw Ayrton spin it entirely from the lead of the race for the first time in 3 seasons 2 weeks ago, or last week rather. So anything can happen, but it is Ayrton's 3rd championship to lose as we head to Brazil next week. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed what was a crazy race in Japan. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.